Hello and welcome to Space Pirates and Zombies, also known as S.P.A.Z for short. This is a game by Minimax Studios, a team of just 2 people. This is a game that came out quite a while ago, about halfway through last year, and it was available in alpha and beta stages before that. However, much like, say, Minecraft, this is a game that features regular updates adding content. If you go to the website for the game, all the patch notes and list of old updates are on there and what had been added in. And as you can see here on the home page, it tells you what version we're on, and also a list of some upcoming features that will later be in the game. Now if I quickly go to new game, because there's a lot of noise happening in the background. Here's the first thing you have to do before you start your adventure. Creating your galaxy, right. If you notice top left, you have a star count, and you can generate as many galaxies as you want until you find one of your liking. As you can see, I'm on the maximum amount of star systems at the moment, which is 300. If I zoom in to where you start, you always start on the outside of the galaxy, and as you progress through the game, the goal is to get to the core. Now these numbers beside each galaxy, that is the advised tech level that you should be at to deal with the difficulty of that system. And what you'll notice is here at 300, you start at 1, then there's 5, 11, 7, 6, 8. Around it could be anything. It's randomly generated. Now if I drop down to 150, now you can see there's a lot less systems between you and the goal. However, there's much bigger jumps in between each system. So like here, you start off at 1 to 5 again, and 7, all similar. But then if you come up here, you jump all the way up to 20, you go up there 23, 27, up into the 30s. So even though there's less systems to go through, the level jumps between each one are more significant, which technically does make it harder to start with a smaller system. Or smaller galaxy, I should say. Mainly this is a top-down shooter, however there is some real-time strategy and a decent story to go along with it. And most of the story is voice acted by a voice I'd expect a lot of people to recognise. So if I go ahead and start the game here, if I go up to 300, and I will probably just play through the tutorial because it is quite a long tutorial. As I say, you might recognise the voice. The UTA and the Civ that you see down at the bottom, I'll explain a bit more about them later.
Space is a vast and desolate frontier, covering a seemingly infinite distance. Even the speed of light is dwarfed by the unimaginable scale of our galaxy. It took nearly 250 years to bridge the void between Earth and its closest neighboring star. Mankind had mastered the folding of space-time, but relied on the use of warp gates. Massive drone ships journeyed through deep space for centuries, deploying pairs of warp gates which allowed instantaneous travel between connections. Warp-gate travel had not become commonplace until the discovery of a stable element, number 126. This element contained bizarre transmutable properties, allowing it to be reconfigured into different forms of matter. This made it the most valuable and sought-after commodity in the universe. Mankind quickly became completely dependent on element 126, which the first miners named Res. Due to the increasing demand for Res, the Warp-gate network became privatized. Anyone with ample funding was able to deploy new and unregistered warp gates. Like a new gold rush, convoys of miners traversed the expanding warp network looking for Res deposits. This drove them closer and closer to the galactic core, where Res deposits became richer and richer. A growing number of isolated colonies became unmanageable. As the unique ecologies of each discovered planet intermixed through trade, potential pandemics became a concern. The United Terran Alliance was formed to control interplanetary contamination. They moved to heavily restrict gate access. Military blockades began to screen all trade ships traveling between gates, attacking any unregistered ships that attempted to use them. For a time, the UTA was able to maintain control, but they soon crumbled under the weight of rapid expansionism and bureaucracy. Unable to manage their fleets and borders, the military hierarchy collapsed. Without central leadership, the UTA fleets dissolved into a series of isolated subcells that rarely communicated or traveled beyond local space. Each military subcell now struggles to control their systems by whatever laws they see fit to implement. Despite the enforced isolation, rogues continue the gold rush while refugees amass hidden away from the UTA's eye. They survive within the vast junk fields of an abandoned Earth. There they build a massive flagship named the Clockwork. With it they intend to travel to the galactic core in search of a legendary motherlode of rares.
And if you didn't recognise, that was Total Biscuit doing the voice acting. The rest of the story is told through text screens, so you can pause them and read them at your own leisure. Right, here's where we get into the meat of the game. While I'm in this screen, since we'll be going through it all anyway, but if I go through one by one, on the far left, the ship's log. Essentially, it tracks your objectives. There's not a lot more to it than that. I'll go into hangars last because that's what it wants me to do at the moment. Star map is fairly self-explanatory. Here we are. There's the next system that we can go to, but it's locked at the moment. While I'm in the screen, I should also tell you, you can get random events spawning that you can go to. These will let you acquire more resources. Okay, system map. Obviously this is a bit more zoomed in. So if we go here, this is the entire galaxy system map, zooms into where we were. There's our home base, there's a star. Not a lot on it at the moment, but more will appear. Research. This is somewhat self-explanatory. You earn upgrade points. Here on the left you have your categories, so cannons, beams, reactors, all that's available to upgrade at the moment. Of course later you can get significantly better things like bombs and turrets. Here on the right, obviously the level of whatever you've got, everything starts at level 0. And as you level up, as you can see, reactor output plus 20%, you get little perks. Okay, hangars. A large part of the game is designing and customizing your fleet of ships. To begin the game, you only have one hangar. As you progress through the game, you will unlock more hangars, so you can have more ships in your fleet. Here we have the hulls, which are the basis for your ship. Now, as you can see here, what you can customize. So here we only have one option, which is a mining laser. On the back, we get a choice of either a tractor beam or a surplus scanner. Scanners are for cloak ships, it says. I don't normally use them. Tractor beams. You can also customize your reactor, your engine, your shield. You can either have a cloak or a regular shield at this point. And that is pretty much all you can... Desired surplus crew. Crew will help you with things such as repairs. Ideally you want it fairly high, but if you don't have enough people, which I'll talk about in a minute, then obviously you won't be able to staff your ship. But right at the start, there's not a lot of options, so we'll just build the ship. And of course there's a little bit of a waiting time for construction, but not much, because this is just a simple ship. Right, here we go. This is where most of the gameplay will take place. Controls are fairly simple. Point the mouse wherever it is you want to aim. WASD, standard controls for movement. And obviously click to fire. Right, well, not a lot is going on. Here in the top left, there are 3 types of resources. Now, where I was talking about people, the one in the middle is goons. That's essentially the crew that you can assign to your ship, or you can also trade them to factions. Factions being the UTA and the civilians, who were mentioned in that opening loading screen, but I will cover them when we meet the civilians, which is pretty soon, I believe. There's also res. That is the currency of the game. Then there's data. That's used to improve your tech and level up. So here we go. If we go do the mission. Okay, I'll go through these fairly quickly because I've already been through them, but you can pause and read if you want. I just have to go back to my mothership. Every faction in the game has a mothership, which is where the base is from. There we are. You might have heard during Total Biscuit's dialogue at the start, there's things called warp gates which allow you to travel through each system. However, there's usually a blockade or some form of defense. The mothership is the only ship that can create a warp gate for you to go through. Right, so here's how you travel. You simply go to the map and click where you want to go. Only places open are in this system. It wants us to go here.